Hello. What I'd like to do today is discuss a little bit about this ongoing situation of organized stalking, which I'm assured there's an investigation going on. At the same time, it seems as though there's more to the story, more to this commotion that's going on around me than just an investigation, and quite possibly what that is entails a cover-up. And I do believe there's reasons why what has happened to me might be covered up, or at least those in charge would want to cover it up. I've accused Electric Boat, number one, and I think they would like to have this investigation end with myself being either discredited or not alive at all. That certainly would save them money, either one. But beyond that, I believe these programs of organized stalking, which are done for the purpose of human research, I believe they come from government levels, federal government levels, and quite possibly people in high places in the state allow for them. So there's, I think, a motive from different places to have this continue. And all the time it continues, I'm being stalked, I'm being harassed, my life is being threatened. As I've said in other videos, they attack me with pain, strong bouts of anxiety. They attack my heart when I exercise. When I get to peak exertion, they attack my heart. Sometimes I have to lay down on the floor to prevent from passing out. So those things are potentially lethal. I'm 56 years old, and I believe that's what they want to do, is bring about a heart attack, a lethal heart attack. They include strong depression in what they do to me continually, and what they want to do with that is force suicide. That's the way that electronics is usually used in these types of situations, as I understand it. They usually force the person into suicide. However, usually the person does not know the target. They do not know that electronics is being used on them. They just feel very unwell, and ultimately they take their life because they can no longer stand the pain that they're enduring. So this continues on even though police are aware, police are investigating, FBI are investigating. I believe the state of Connecticut is involved. Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services is involved. I think it's a very big deal for some. And I think most people that see this, what's happening here, probably don't like it. No one would want this done to themselves, their family members, their friends, or done it all in their community. It contributes to an unhealthy community. And when people are controlled, when someone attempts to control a person and they don't know that, then their actions would be outside of what their own mind would normally allow them to do. And it makes me wonder if sometimes these school shootings that occur, these school shootings that we see occur where a person goes in and slaughters innocent children and faculty members, and then at the end they take their own life. And they self-destruct. And I wonder, I tend to believe these things are orchestrated. I certainly suspect they are orchestrated, brought about by the use of electronic mind control, manipulation. I suspect the people that do it are groomed for a time until they're reliable and then sent in to do that. And one of the reasons, well, there's many reasons I believe or suspect that this is happening. And one of the things that I look at is electronics. These devices that are used are very small and portable, and electronics became more portable through large-scale integration, integrated circuits where we take many components and integrate them on a small silicon chip. And this started happening in the 80s and 90s to a large degree, and then suddenly we had PCs on our desk. We have tablets, laptops, and so forth, and they've gotten very, very powerful. And this is just something that's happened of late. And I think back when, I think one of the first school shootings was Columbine. And I remember having my first PC at home at that time. And I think it's quite possible as electronics became smaller and more portable, these types of weapons have gotten also more portable and allowed for the use of them in these type of scenarios. And I look at the way people appear to be heartless as they carry out these crimes, as if they have no conscience, and at the end they self-destruct so as not to unwind. Now, I heard last year through this surveillance equipment that they wanted me dead so that I couldn't say what it was like to be stalked, what it was like to experience this electronics on this end, what I've heard on the other end. And you have to understand, as I've stated in another video, with this equipment running, I can hear my stalkers' conversations on their end, and they can hear me when I speak, so I could communicate with them. It's been like this since 2011. And since this equipment causes an intoxicating effect on the user, those that are using it enjoy using it, and they enjoy the intoxicating effect, and it reduces their intelligence level. And when that happens, they become very loose-lipped, and they talk. So over time, I've listened, I've talked, I've conversed, I've interviewed. I've sought to understand who it is, what they do, why they do it, those types of things. And I'm very, very careful not to believe any one story, but look for continuity of message over time. Rule out, eliminate variables. Try to make it a scientific process as much as I can. Granted, I have kind of a vague connection between them and I. So it's things that I tend to hold on to as possibilities for truth are things that I have kind of shaken out with a process to make sure that I've done all I can to assure that they could be truthful. And there's many other things that I've just let go. So, with myself, it's my understanding that all that I've been through, enduring this on my end, they don't want me to be free to tell these things. They don't want to get sued, number one. But beyond that, they don't want the U.S. government implicated for these programs. And they don't want it to come out. Some of the things that I've heard in the past. And I've realized by my talking or attempting to talk to people in government, whether it's a congressman, someone in legislature, whether federal or state, different ones I've talked to in law enforcement, it just seems like conversations get interrupted, often while I'm on the phone. I dial a number. They know ahead of time that I'm thinking of calling. They see me look up the number. And it seems often, once I make the call, that person on the other end is interrupted while I'm talking. And when they come back to the phone, they're uncooperative. And I've noticed that enough to make note of it. And it has seemed to me, when I put all of these things together, there are items that they don't want discussed. They don't want it getting out. Not even a hint. And having said that, I'd like to talk today about Sonalist. You see, the company, Sonalist, their employees have been involved in doing this to me. And all of them indicated that they, as a company, work for Electric Boat as a subcontractor. And I've talked to a number of their employees, and I'll get more into what I've heard from them overall, with my process involved, trying to understand basically what they do and how they carry it out. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about why I don't think they want me talking about Sonalist, or how is it that I've come to this opinion. Well, number one, anytime I speak of it, I get a lot of commotion on the other side. I hear conversations, no, don't let him. Don't let him. Even the making of this video, there are many that don't want this done. I've threatened to do it. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to come out and make statements until I have proof, hard evidence. I don't want to come out and make statements that would cause my credibility to be questioned and might defame the character of some innocent person or organization. So I'm very careful in the things that I say publicly. So I've been hesitant to go beyond that which I know to be true. However, this situation continues. I continue to be hurt. And while I continue to be hurt, family and loved ones are also in jeopardy. And so I need to go beyond my comfort zone and talk a little more about the things that I have heard and the things that I suspect. And as I do that, I'll give evidence as to why it is I suspect them. So Sonalist. Last year in 2014, at the end of April, I called the president of Electric Boat, Jeffrey Geiger, and I put in a complaint to him that his company was doing this to me, and I wanted it stopped. I left that message. 24 hours later, I called back, spoke with his office. They said they have my complaint, and they are investigating. So they said they're taking it seriously. I left it at that. That was at the end of April. In May, a man who identified himself as Lou Heller called me. And he said he worked for Electric Boat, and he wanted to talk to me about my complaint. And he said, number one, Sonalist never worked for Electric Boat. They didn't. There's no history of it. Number two, I should take my complaint up with Sergeant Joe San Juan of the Eastline Police Department. When I heard that, I said, let me call you back. And he gave me his number. I recorded it. I hung up with him, and I called the president of Electric Boat, and I said, this man just called, and he desires to speak with me about your company and my complaint, indicating he represents your company. And before I speak with him anymore, I need to know if he really does. I never heard from Electric Boat one way or the other. So that caused me to be suspicious. Number two, Lou Heller's instructions were to contact Sergeant Joe San Juan of the Eastline Police Department. Sergeant San Juan was one of the police officers involved in this illegal stalking of myself. So I did not see that I should call him concerning this. As often contacting police. When you're being stalked in this manner, contacting police can land you in the emergency room of a hospital, at which point you'll be committed for 15 days as sort of a punishment, as I would call it. The law allows them to commit you for 15 days for monitoring upon probable cause that you're a danger to yourself or others. And probable cause can be a gray area, so it can be easily done. So, I left it at that. I didn't know what else to do with it. I just recorded it. I gave my lawyer the information. And I think it's reasonable also. It just occurred to me, I have a phone number for Lou Heller. I put him in my cell phone. I'm just going to look it up right here. 1 second. Because I tend to believe, I tend to believe this person is of questionable identity. His number is 860-433-8488. 860-433-8488. Just felt the need to record that. So that was, I heard from Mr. Heller in May. And I also might mention that I heard some commotion on the other side of this surveillance equipment right after that phone call. And the name Daniel Patrick came up. And I don't know what significance that has, but the name Daniel Patrick came up as being the real Lou Heller. So I'll put that out also, but that's something that I heard through this surveillance equipment. That was in May 2014. In June, my lawyer called, and he told me, he said, the City of Groton police are thinking of arresting you. And I said, for what? He said, for harassing Electric Boat. I said, are you serious? He said, oh yes. I said, why am I hearing this from you? Where did you hear it? He said he heard it at the courthouse. Okay. I said, why would I hear it from you? If the police had a problem with me, they'd contact me. And if there was an arrest, I'd contact you. He had no answer. I said, okay, thank you. The next morning, I called the City of Groton Police Department, and I told them it's my understanding there's a complaint against myself. I'd like to address it. They looked my name up and they said, no, there's nothing. In fact, we don't have your name. You're not in our computer. I said, then it's just a rumor? And the woman said, yes, that's all it must be. You're not in our computer. Okay. I thanked him. A little while later, the doorbell rang, and it was Lieutenant Jenkins from the City of Groton Police Department, along with Sergeant Renshaw from the East Lyme Police Department, at my door, accusing me of harassing Electric Boat. I told the lieutenant I had just called his department, and my name is not in their computer. There's no complaint concerning me. Essentially, they don't know you're here. And he said, well, there will be a case number by the end of the day, I can assure you. He went on to tell me that he tried to contact me 3 days earlier. And I checked my cell phone, and that's right, I missed the call. I missed the message. So he had had that complaint for 3 days, yet it was not in the computer. I think that's noteworthy. It's my understanding that when complaints come in, they get recorded. They need to be. If someone else were to complain, if another complaint came in regarding that person, that needs to be recorded. Police change shifts. So I think that's noteworthy. Well, he then went on to accuse me of harassing Electric Boat by calling and complaining to them. And I informed him that my call was a complaint, yes. And they responded by taking it seriously and indicating to me that they're investigating. Since they're investigating, and since this is ongoing, I can expect an answer. So it's proper for me to call. It's not harassment. They have never told me not to call. He said, well, someone did call you from Electric Boat, and you didn't call them back. He said, why didn't you call Lou Heller back? I said, well, he seemed suspicious, and his company would not vouch for him. So I did not return the call. And at that point, I told him that, you're accusing me of a crime, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I need to discuss this with my lawyer, but until then, I need to break this off, because you are accusing me of a crime. And I let them on their way. They left. About that day, I talked to my lawyer again. And he said, down at the courthouse, and as I mentioned in an earlier video, I was arrested, and I will say wrongfully, by Eastline Police in 2012. And that case is continuing. I've been to court 38 times, and it's not yet. I haven't gone to trial. And I believe the charges will be dropped ultimately. But I was arrested, and I had a hearing the next day, a pre-trial hearing for that case. And I talked to my lawyer, and he said, the evidence of that complaint that just came to your door is going to be delivered to the courthouse, and they're going to demand you be evaluated for competency to stand trial. And I thought, why would they do that? I was not arrested. This is a complaint to a private party. And what does it have to do with my case? On the surface, I could get no answers. So I let that go. I talked to the City of Groton Police Department again on the phone. Asked them again, are you sure there's no complaint regarding myself? And the woman said, no, we don't have your name. I said, well, your lieutenant, who was a sergeant at the time. I said, he was just here at my home in East Lyme, bringing that complaint. She sounded quite surprised. She said, I don't know what to say about that. And so I thanked her and let her go. The next day I went to court. I did not feel that anyone had any reason, any justification to have me evaluated for competency to stand trial. I was arrested in 2012. I've been attending pre-trial hearings ever since. I've driven the case to where it was. However, the judge asked for that. I turned to my lawyer and I said, no. No. I wanted my lawyer to communicate no. And he would not. He would not. So I was forced into it. I went. I passed with flying colors. And there's more to that story, and I'll get into in another video. So, Lou Heller. Electric Boat won't vouch for him. The City of Groton Police want to know why I didn't speak with him. His message was, Soundless doesn't work for Electric Boat. And to talk to Sergeant San Juan. Sergeant San Juan being one of the stalkers. I also called Electric Boat and checked their names directory to see if Lou Heller was an employee, and he was not in there. I might also add that since then I've tried to use the names directory, and while I was using it, it was shut down more than once. And I am under surveillance 24 hours a day, and Electric Boat is very, very heavily involved. So I went over to Groton, to the City of Groton Police Department, and I got a copy of the complaint that was brought to my door. And on that complaint were two men's names that brought the complaint to the City of Groton Police Department: Lou Heller and Scott Sanford. And I remember when Lou Heller talked to me, I remember him saying that he was with his partner Scott. But he didn't provide a last name. I'm assuming it's Scott Sanford. So they are on the City of Groton Police report, and it indicates that they work for the security department at Electric Boat. Lou Heller is not in the Electric Boat names directory. When I tried Sanford, the system was shut down. So I could not verify that. Their main message, though, Lou Heller's main message was, Soundless does not work for Electric Boat. So that was June. I was evaluated by DMHAS, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, for competency to stand trial in July. Passed with flying colors. I let things continue on, and it was later in the summer that I contacted the City of Groton Police and told them that this is ongoing. We talked at my door. You indicated that you could provide me answers. For reasons you're probably aware of, I'm hesitant to talk to police, but I believe now I'm quite ready to talk to the police. And I'd like your help in stopping this stalking at Electric Boat. Lieutenant Jenkins asked if there were signals I could track, and so I told him, let me see what I can do. The next day I was in Groton tracking down a signal, and the signals that I tend to focus in on are, I will call, fingerprints of the equipment being used against me. It produces a number of different carriers, and one I've kind of locked on to historically. And it's very weak. I think it's a local oscillator stage or a mixing product within the device. But I picked it up over in Groton near the youth center in Gales Ferry, which is a suburb of Groton, near the youth center for the Navy base. And so I spent the day just kind of in the receive mode, just kind of circling around and getting an idea, because I didn't have a directional antenna with me. So just looking at signal levels, and I definitely was close. Things were being turned on and off to confuse me. But I felt that I was very close. By the end of that afternoon, I left that area. It was Navy housing, and there were a lot of people around. It was busy. Did I stand out in the crowd? My vehicle may have, because there's a number of antennas on the roof. But I drove respectfully and slowly and carefully. There's a lot of people around. I didn't think I made anyone overly nervous. So I left that area, went out to Route 12, and I had a sandwich at Subway. And before I had my sandwich, I called the lieutenant from the City of Groton, and I told him what I had found. I located a very strong signal right in that area around the youth center. I left it at that. I just left a message. I had my sandwich. When I came out, police from another jurisdiction suddenly arrived. And this was the town jurisdiction, the town of Groton jurisdiction, which covers Gales Ferry, the Navy base, youth center area, and where I was. They wanted to know what I was doing. And I did not give them any reason to suspect me. They wanted to know about the equipment in my vehicle, why I was there, and I was sitting at Subway. I had just had a sandwich. I was getting ready to leave. And I told them that I'm cooperating with the City of Groton in tracking down surveillance equipment that's being illegally used on myself for stalking purposes. And I gave them the lieutenant's name they could contact him if they like and verify what's happening. And they went. Others arrived, and suddenly I was quite in their interest, and they wanted me to talk more. I was careful about what I was saying, and first thing you know, they said, "Oh, you've been arrested," and I told them, "Yes, I have, and it was wrongfully, and it's part of this stalking, and that's why I'm trying to get it straightened out. I've been to court a number of times." And they put handcuffs on me. I gave them no reason to do that. I was not violating the law in any way. And they said, "We're going to search your vehicle." I said, "You don't have permission to search my vehicle." And they saw my tool bag sitting in the center, and a knife was stuck in the center of that tool bag, a sheath knife, completely legal sheath knife, hunting knife, but very legal to possess, legal to carry, legal side blade. They said, "That's a weapon. Therefore, we don't need your permission." And I do not believe that's true. It's not a weapon, number one. It's completely exposed, and it's in my tool bag. It's stuck in a very open tool bag with a whole lot of other tools. So before they entered my vehicle, I told them again, "You do not have my permission to search my vehicle." They said, "We don't care." And they began searching. Now, these police were not from Lieutenant Jenkins' jurisdiction. They were from the town jurisdiction. When they were done, they took the handcuffs off of me, and they told me I can no longer drive on those roads where I was today. They had told me that there was complaints all afternoon about me, and they handled all those complaints all afternoon until they finally could catch up with me. That's kind of ridiculous because I was right in the area where those complaints would have originated from. I was there all afternoon. Someone easily could have stopped and spoken with me. Police could have easily found me. So I do not believe there were complaints about myself. But they said there were, and then I could not drive on those roads. Those are public roads. It's Navy housing, but they're public roads. They said I could drive on Route 12, and that was all. I didn't argue anymore. They were accusing me, treating me as if a suspect. So I remained quiet. They took the handcuffs off. I went on my way. When I got home, I called the town manager. Maybe not right when I got home. Might have been within the next day or two. I called the town manager. I put in a complaint that this happened to me, and I was offended.